家乡啊，过都过不去。哦，好多人都要回家了。广州这边外贸工厂都停工了，根本就。
然后这一个放大看一下这是什么，好恶心呀！好，这是最恶心的了。这现在展示的这一个地方，看这是什么东西啊？这一个上，放大一点哈，这一个看，这一个啊，这个是我撕开的这一块，因为但是这一个地方有个大黑东西，我就撕开了看一下。这一摞这种一个袋子上全是黑乎乎的一片，也不知道是什么东西。
为什么还得有一个半截的呢？
对，有他们家的半截好多。还有这一个地方直接线都跑出来了。
我们普通话，我们这两句话。
现在没有钱，你哪个的话你承认那个他有点钱啊？那是人钱，我钱我有钱没进，那太欺负农民了。
现在主要就是那些还没有安葬的，他现在政策都不统一，他现在都是要通过社区去干预，社区去领骨灰，这都是很不合理的。而且3次打电话我都是公安局的，我这一点我非常气愤。
而我父亲下葬的时候也是一样啊，这是下葬嘛？这完全是，我觉得这完全就是一种监控啊，完成政治任务、维稳的任务。
所以说，我们很多新冠去世的肺炎的家属啊，真的很愤怒。我们希望给个说法，因为在我的经历中，我爸去世，他不是正常死亡，是不是？他是人为造成的。点的时候，我爸跟我说的嘛，他说：“儿子，爸爸不想死。”他说爸爸不想死。他说爸爸不想死。所以到目前为止， 我都没有领到我爸的那个骨灰。我天天都想去领我爸的骨灰，但是我怎么说呢？一个人嘛，虽说我是个很普通的人，我爸也是个很普通的人，是不是啊？但是每个人都有自己的尊严，知道吗？哪怕我爸在的，他也有他的尊严，他的尊严也靠谁维护？这是靠他的儿子，这是靠我，就维护我爸最后的尊严。我不希望我爸下葬的时候有旁人在旁边，就是监控着你，这是你肯定是接受不了的。
是的，在什么症状嘛？那们别个说我是你妈无症状感染者，讲我那种情况不要紧，概率拿再回，等检查结果看什么样了。
好，你今天概率注意那个莫搞感冒啊，免得搞麻烦了。
你要注意啊，莫到处跑啊。正常你嘛，像我那种无症状的感染者，其实有一些嘛。只是说都没去检查而已，像我是正好赶那个复工个这里搞体检检查出来，什么症状嘛的，你要注意，谁拿去把口罩戴了，莫到处跑。虽然是你们没比没得了，莫是7的8的，其实有好多，我厂里100多个人检查出来，6个像我那样的。
啥玩意儿掉下来了？
这是业主家的一个火灾现场，现在物业工作人员正在帮忙业主清理家里的水渍。可以看到一下，刚刚群里面发的照片，好像是一个不明物掉下来的，是这个房间里面的窗户。好，我现在正在这个。
妈的！我叫妈的！我叫妈的！你是么回事？走，你把那个男的啊，我说你骂女说对不对？没有，我叫妈的。
Welcome back. We have heroes helping heroes. New York firefighters line up outside local hospitals cheering on the healthcare workers fighting the coronavirus. Listen to this.
Isn't that incredible? New York's bravest packing the streets outside NYU Langone Friday night to thank the doctors and nurses who are working around the clock inside.
The tragic toll of this pandemic prompting the White House to change its advice. All Americans should cover their faces. New York's governor is exasperated states are competing for supplies and, quote, shopping China. Donald Trump approved his request for a non-COVID field hospital in the city's biggest convention centre to instead start treating purely coronavirus victims. And today, a sign of the states helping each other. Boston's New England Patriots plane landing loaded with 1.2 million medical masks.
How many cases we got? 10. How many cases we got? 10. Now you don't have a mask? No, we don't have no mask. I have to wear scarves.
In the UK, the number of dead has risen by 684 in one 24-hour period. That brings the total number of deaths in hospitals from the disease to 3,605. Now, that number, however, doesn't include deaths in the community or in care homes.
Still have one of the symptoms, a minor symptom of I still have a temperature.
At stations across Paris today, every journey began with a police check. freedom of movement a new national threat. Do you have your piece of...
Australian scientists are deploying a drug already used against parasitic worms and bugs in the hope of killing coronavirus. For 30 years, ivermectin has been prescribed for people and animals to treat roundworm, head lice and scabies. Now tests by Monash University and Doherty Institute researchers show the medication can also stop COVID-19 growing in a Petri dish. But each step in the testing process takes weeks or months at least.
US intelligence officials suspect China may have deliberately underreported the number of COVID-19 cases and deaths the country had. They say the decision to downplay its numbers is having deadly consequences for the rest of the world.
As many countries question China's official numbers, China is ordering hundreds of thousands of body bags from Taiwan.
And we've got to talk about some big issues like China and how this happened. Neil, I really do believe that this is an opportunity for America, particularly what I learned as Attorney General of the United States, that we need to stand up now to identify and point out China's failure to tell the world about this pandemic. One study in England said 95% of the infections would not have occurred had this been reported 3 weeks earlier. So this is a colossal, disastrous failure. And we need to know that as we deal with China in all kinds of areas, that they don't tell the truth. They're seeking competitive advantage, unfair advantage. And if we do the right thing, we bet on America, we stand up to this. And I have a plan for it. First, we need an investigation. We need to investigate how they have covered this up and the extent of the damage. We need to identify our medicines and how we've become dependent on China for that and stop it. We've got to make sure
wait a minute,
future...
Senator, are you saying that the Chinese lied? Because the president has not gone that far. He is concerned about the China virus, as he called it, that it started there, but he's not taken the leap you have, that the Chinese were deliberately lying or misleading on these early numbers. You have.
Well, Neil, I think he said repeatedly he has not been happy with what he was told from China. He's tried to maintain a personal relationship with the leader of China, which I certainly think is appropriate. But what we as a nation need to do is to help the president be more effective. He's been the first one to challenge China. He's had improvements in our agricultural exports to China. He's used tariffs. He needs to be supported in that and to continue this over a period of years and to stand up to the abuses. As Attorney General,
but if you're right, Senator, if you're right about this, and many agree with you, sir, that the Chinese did kind of snooker us on this, and that maybe they snookered us on trade, and that maybe the trust we placed in them to stick to agreements, to stick to anything, was misplaced. Do you feel that everything the Chinese have been saying, whether it's this now pandemic, or even commitments and promises they've made on trade, should be looked at cautiously?
Yes, it's time for us to reset our relationship. We can have a good relationship with China in the years to come, but it cannot be founded on lies and deceit and unfair trade agreements with actions by China. We've got to stand up to them. If they don't let us sell in their markets, we need to reduce their ability to sell in our markets. If they steal our intellectual property, we need to prosecute them. We've gone from 0 prosecutions of Chinese entities to, after my time as Attorney General, there are now 50 cases with over 1,000 investigations ongoing about illegal activity from China. We've got to end this and get on a healthy relationship. It will be the best thing for our peace and prosperity in the future. But the idea that we acquiesce and let them wiggle off the hook and deny that they suppress these doctors, suppress the revealing to the world of the dangers of this pandemic as it was spreading, it's one of the greatest cover-ups in the history of the world. It is a colossal disaster, and they have got to be held to account. The world needs to know it. They don't need to keep denying as they've done in the past. And we need to hold them to account and establish this. It will be good for the people of China to see that the leadership, the Communist Party, did not get away with it.
You've been the one that's really been all over this, not just the Wuhan P4 lab, but the CDC lab there and all the Chinese Communist Party scientists. Walk us through the new breaking piece you got up on the Washington Times today, because you're taking the story to the next level.
This week I had a big story about China discovering 2,000 viruses, including deadly bat viruses. Today's piece that just posted on the Washington Times site has some new information which possibly identifies patient zero. And of course, that's the real key for uncovering the origin of this virus. The lead of the story is that the U.S. government and the research community are actively working to uncover the origin of the virus. You've got to do that in order to be able to find vaccines, mitigation, all of those things. And the Chinese have stonewalled from day one, and they've destroyed evidence. They initially promised samples to the U.S. government, to the research labs, and then denied it. The new evidence that came out was actually by a blogger in China who did some open source research and found that one patient, a young researcher at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, contracted the virus, was the first patient to contract the virus and the disease, and then eventually died. And it was at her funeral that the virus began spreading among people.
And when was what was the date of all this?
This was in December. Okay, so early December were the first cases. They haven't nailed down the exact date. I would add that the Wuhan Institute of Virology has denied that this woman is patient one, but everyone in China is looking for her, and she's nowhere to be found. Her picture and biography that were posted on the Wuhan Institute website has disappeared. So there's strong indications that this may have been the starting point for this global pandemic. And another data point in the story today is that the White House in February tasked the National Academy of Sciences to form experts and find the origin. And the same day they sent the letter, on February 6th, the Academy wrote back saying, we need access to samples in China, samples of the virus, as well as looking at the animals at the wet market where it was suspected to have spread. And of course, the Chinese shut down the market and began cleaning everything before they could do that scientific detective work.
我相信，人类到了一个选择，一定要消灭共产主义，一定要消灭共产党，这是最终能解决这些问题的唯一原因。 就是疫毒有疫苗，这个疫情有了疫苗，真正解决人类的问题是消灭共产党，也不是疫苗，因为共产党还可以继续再放病毒，共产党会继续再搞一个生化武器，这就是昨天到现在我跟很多朋友开会，我说如果你们认为这个病毒是来自于这个实验室的话，咱就别聊了。 来自于自然的事呢，更就不要聊了，都认为是来自实验室的，没错。但是不是故意放的啊？大家都表示犹豫，55开，甚至是46开、37开。我说我告诉你，前提是你要相信这绝对是生化武器，是他故意的。所以说不灭共产党，你解决了疫情没用，因为他会再放第二个毒。这不现在已经传了山东有新的毒了吗？ 什么汉塔病毒啊，明天还出来一个什么擀面杖子病毒啊，孙立军病毒啊，吴征绿帽子病毒啊，孟建柱的肌肉病毒啊，王岐山的高艳艳冠军病毒都可以了，太容易了。他想做这个，他那实验室太容易了，分分钟。从蝙蝠上说，老鼠上说，蛇上说，是不是啊？都可以。不消灭共产党。 病毒会一个接着一个的来，这就是我的建议。所以战友们，我们正在面临这个人类、全球的历史改变的时刻，一切选择用你的脑子来做决定。亲爱的兄弟姐妹们， 一切都已经开始，千万别忘了香港。我再说，没有香港的开始，就没有今天的一切。香港是中国人最值得要尊敬的，将未来是中国人的精神领域、宗教领域、法治信仰这个领域是我们的耶路撒冷。如果中国人都能活到香港的素质，我们中国人就赢了。如果没有了共产党的新中国，活不到这个香港人的素质，我们也没赢。